Literally no one asked me to vlog, so I decided to do it all month long. You'll see me live my life every day of March, so get ready to be bored, cause this is Vlarch.
Hey everyone, I wanted to hop on here and have a little chat with you. So, last night I couldn't sleep because my OCD for some reason was like going wild, and my form of OCD, as far as I know, as far as what I've been told by a medical professional, is dermatillomania, which is a skin picking disorder. Mine is pretty bad, and I really destroy the skin on my fingers and my feet, which is really gross, to the point where I bleed a lot. It's really disgusting. I've talked about it before. People have asked me a lot like how I'm doing with it and how it's been going. It was getting better, and then the lockdown happened. I've just been at home and ripping at my fingers and stressed. So last night was really bad. Like, I literally stayed awake. I wasn't looking at my phone. I wasn't watching anything. I wasn't doing anything. I was literally just laying there ripping at skin for hours, and I couldn't stop. It's not something where you can just stop. You can't help it. So anyone who has struggled with dermatillomania, or I think it's called trichotillomania, where it's the hair pulling disorder, both of those are not something that it's like,
we'll just stop doing it.
You literally cannot. Like, you feel like you have to do it or you'll die.
I just want to hop on here and say what I just said might be taken out of context. You can stop hair pulling and finger picking with the correct treatment, with therapy, with different techniques, with sometimes medication. It is possible to stop. What I meant by that was that you can't stop just by someone saying, stop doing it. That's like someone saying, just stop having anxiety, just stop having depression. It doesn't work like that. So just want to clarify. It is possible to stop doing it, just it's not easy. Okay, continue.
So it's weird. I can't really explain it better than that. It sucks, and it's not that big of a deal. Like, compared to other people's problems in the world, like, it's not a big deal at all. So I like don't even want to like really complain about it or whatever, because I don't want people to think I'm like, my life is so hard. It's not. Like, it's just one of my small struggles. But I wanted to say something because last night I tweeted because I was like up and I was getting upset. I was like crying because I couldn't stop. And I was ripping so much at my thumbs. They were bleeding, and to the point where it hurts to bend my thumbs right now because there's no skin where the thumb bends. Well, there's skin, it's just like a very thin layer because the rest of the layers are gone. So I was like crying because like I wanted to just stop. I wanted to sleep. I was tired and I couldn't stop. And so I tweeted, oh, my OCD is being that bitch right now. Like, just like, I just wanted to like say it. And then once I did that, I like wanted to see if anyone else out there was struggling with the same thing as me. And then I started searching the hashtag trichotillomania, OCD, and like just reading other people, and how it made me feel so much better because like, ew, I did not think I would cry at all. It made me feel so much better because every hashtag of dermatillomania was like, this lockdown is making the dermatillomania so bad, this lockdown is making my OCD so bad. All of the tweets were that everyone was struggling with it just as much as I was. So it made me feel not like crazy, and I didn't feel alone. I was like, oh, other people who struggle with this are struggling with this a lot right now. So it made me feel a lot better. That was part of the reason I wanted to like tweet about it, kind of lightheartedly. Like, I wasn't like, well, my life is so hard. I was just like, oh, my OCD is being that bitch right now. And there were a few people who were like, oh my gosh, I feel you. I feel the same way. That was the whole point of me saying that, was like, maybe this will make someone else feel less alone, because me reading these hashtags and reading that there are other people on social media and other people in this world who are struggling with the same thing as me, and that this lockdown is making it 20 times worse. Like, maybe that, you know, will help people. But I got a couple of people, and this is not, I'm not like, I'm like angry. This is not a rant. This is just me being like, this is so interesting. There are a few people who are like,
show me your diagnosis.
people calling me a liar. Like, what do you want me to do? Show you my bloody hands? Why do you want proof that I have OCD? OCD is like a mental struggle, a mental illness. You would never ask someone who has an illness of any other kind for their diagnosis from their doctor. Like, can you imagine someone getting like something horrible, God forbid, like cancer or diabetes, or, you know, some really hard struggle? I'm not comparing my situation to those. I'm just saying it's an illness. Like, if you are diagnosed with an illness, can you imagine like someone going up to you and being like, oh, it turns out I have pneumonia, and someone being like,
well, show your diagnosis, I don't believe you.
Like, that's crazy. Why do you do that to people who have a mental illness? I see that all the time with people with mental illness who talk about their mental illness openly. People be like,
oh yeah? Are you self-diagnosing yourself?
No, like I had a therapist tell me that I have it, and I've been open about my struggles with it for a long time. I'm not gonna give you my therapist's information so she can call you and tell you that yes, I have it. I think those people were saying those things to me because there are a lot of people who are like, oh, I'm depressed, oh, my anxiety, and they don't have anxiety, they don't have depression. I've been guilty of that in the past, 100%. Before I became more aware of like what is appropriate to say and what is not, I fully have said in the past like, oh, I'm so depressed right now, or oh my God, my anxiety's through the roof. Before I had anxiety, I would say things like that. That doesn't like offend me when people say those things. Like if people say like, oh my God, I'm so OCD about this, or if people say, oh my God, I have anxiety, and they don't have OCD or anxiety, I don't get upset by that. Like that doesn't offend me, I don't care. But it does offend people and it does trigger people, which is why you have to be careful not to say things like that unless it's serious or you mean it. You would never say like, oh, I feel like I have cancer right now. Like you wouldn't say that because it's inappropriate and disrespectful to people who are struggling with it. So that's why people are trying to like break that stigma of people saying that. And I think that was their intention. I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt and think like, okay, I don't think they're actually trying to be jerks. Maybe they were just trying to be like, hey, don't say that if you don't have it. And maybe they just didn't know my struggle. They didn't know that I actually have OCD. It's not the right way to go about that, because luckily I have like kind of a tough skin a little bit because I'm used to the internet and I'm used to how that works. But like if that were someone posting about their OCD who wasn't used to that and someone responded with that, that could really hurt them and like really affect them negatively mentally and make it worse. If you think someone doesn't have something that they say they do, why do you need to say something? Like what's the point of that? It would be different if I was like,
oh my God, there's no more cream for my latte, I'm so depressed.
Like, and then you came for me and were like, really, you're depressed? Like that was a bit dramatic. But I literally was crying in bed with bleeding hands and I said my OCD is being a bitch and people were like, yeah, right.
Show me the proof.
So I just thought that was interesting and I wanted to talk about it to be like, maybe as a universe and as a community we can all be aware if someone says they're struggling with a mental illness and it has been diagnosed by a doctor, maybe don't tell them they're lying because it's not helpful. And also I've seen people be like, oh, everyone picks their skin. Sure, yeah, they do, and there's different degrees of it. Mine happens to be really painful. And again, I'm not saying like, well, it's me, this really sucks. I mean, I would show you, but I feel like you would be really disgusted. You guys can catch glimpses of it when I'm like talking and whatnot. If I showed you up close my fingers, you would probably throw up. Like it's like flesh. It's really gross. Sometimes it's better than others. Like right now, these 5 fingers, I feel like I'm doing a TikTok. These 5 fingers are okay. I haven't gone to town on those. These 5 fingers are kind of a mess and they're looking better today. I bandaged up this one because it was bleeding a lot. This thumb is a disaster. You can kind of see discoloration from this far away. If I showed you close up, it's freaking gross. But I don't feel like I should have to prove myself. I don't feel like I should have to show you my fingers and toes and be like, look at how I actually have dermatillomania. Like 1 in 20 people have it. It's what I was reading last night. You would never say that to someone with an illness that wasn't a mental illness. So why do we say it to people with mental illnesses? I'm gonna go play with my baby. I'm totally fine and there's like nothing wrong. I feel fine today. It was just last night for some reason it was ramped up and it was really bad. And sometimes I'm fine and I'll go a week without barely picking anything at all, and then I'll have a few days where it's just bloody fingers. Anyway, I'm gonna go. Talk to you later. I just have to say, I'm so grateful for Corey and my mom. My mom sent me flour when she found out when I was out of flour. But because of Corey, we can make things like bread. So, because he got us flour yesterday. I didn't really explain myself. Corey went out and went on a goose hunt with his protection on to make sure he was safe, and he found me flour. And so we're making baguettes right now because he also got Eric a bunch of fun cheeses like brie and all these yummy cheeses. So we're trying to make some baguettes. And normally with bread, you have to like let it rise overnight and it takes a million hours. I found a recipe that allowed us to make baguettes in like 3.5 hours. So that's what we're trying to do today. And I'm really excited. It seems like it's working so far. Guys, the bread turned out great. I took your advice. Again, a lot of people told me when I was making biscuits, I overworked the dough. And then last night we made biscuits from scratch. I didn't overwork the dough, they turned out much better. Same thing with this bread, we barely mixed it. Like, I literally barely did anything. For this recipe, it said to not knead the dough. So I took that as like, do not mix this. So I didn't, and it's pretty good. Fun! What a loser that I'm like, think it's just so fun to bake and cook. We're having barbecue, chicken, green beans, sweet potato casserole, and toast for dinner. Let's get to it. This is a delicious dinner for the evening. We're watching RuPaul. Oh, Eric made his amazing barbecue chicken. And girl, I'm excited to eat all this ish. Hello, I'm being lit by my computer at midnight. I don't know why I just said that. It sounds like the title to like a memoir or something. Hi everybody. Look at these hairs, living their best life. I'm going to bed. Man, I feel like I'm slowing down on the vlarch of it all. I was like doing activities and fun things every day, and now we're just like quarantined and bored. And why are you watching this? Is what I'm trying to say. All I do is cook. That's all I do. Why do you watch this? I will try to think of some fun things to do in the quarantines in the next couple of days, but quite honestly, I'll probably just cook. So, sorry if it's boring, but that's what I like to do. Okay, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.